As any video game series progresses with its next iteration, the developers try to innovate and bring players back to the series. And that is one thing that Watch Dogs Legion will attempt to do as it launches on Friday, October 30th. I'm Dalton Evans, and in today's video we're going to be discussing what the critics have to say about the game. We're going to be looking at two different critic reviews in today's video, Gamespot's Alessandro Folari and Game Informer's Marcus Stewart. We'll talk about what the game got right first. Both reviewers liked the diversity and backgrounds in the characters that you meet and recruit. Folari said Legion's true stars are London citizens, all of whom are randomly generated based on various professions, ethnic backgrounds, and other personalized details. The previous games allowed you to learn cursory information about citizens around you, but in Legion you can use this information to scout prospects. Depending on if they favor DedSec, they'll ask you to complete minor objectives to seal the bond. They continued later with such a vast list of characters, you'll likely find yourself leaning on a select few operatives as your A-team, especially if they are gifted when it comes to hacking, driving, or melee combat. Still, Legion has a few ways of tossing in a curveball recruit that could be in the running for your new favorite. Coming up in a little bit, we'll talk about what Folari had to say about the campaign. Stewart liked how the game embraces itself. He said it's delightfully silly to command a group of resembling a tech-savvy village people, and the game doesn't take itself too seriously, making it fun to revel in its absurdity. I grew to cherish certain team members for their skill sets and zaniness, especially because I played with the optional permadeath turned on. Both reviewers applauded the story, talking about how despicable the villains were, and the addressing modern issues in the game. Folari felt an appreciation for the discussion of real-world topics in the game, like fascism, nationalism, and similar topics. And while the thematic elements of the story were engaging, the constant temptation to sidetrack and do other activities dampened the impact of the message. Folari said the main story of Legion is heavy in its subject matter, feeling like a mix of Black Mirror and Mr. Robot. It grapples with themes around nationalism, capitalism, classism, and of course policing. Although the execution is somewhat scattershot, the moments in which the game chooses to shine a light on these pervading issues can be sobering. Coming up shortly, we'll talk about Folari and what he thinks about the hacking mechanics that have been massively fleshed out. Stewart felt the game provided plenty of motivation to free London of its tyranny. Stewart said the main story missions are much more gratifying, for genuinely despicable villains provide plenty of motivation to free London of their tyranny, and your tasks focused on taking them down regularly surprised me with their creativity. We'll take a look at some of Folari and Stewart's negative points here in just a minute. Folari liked how much more fleshed out the hacking systems were in the game. Many of the goals that you try to accomplish in the game can be done in a variety of ways. With that open-ended nature, level design plays a pretty big role. Both reviewers shared negative aspects about the game that they didn't like. Neither liked the repetitiveness of the side character dialogue that can happen. Stewart also wasn't a fan of the load times and stated that they were just long enough that they took him out of the game and could potentially do the same thing for you. Folari had a few more complaints, citing that the open world sometimes felt like it was detracting from the thematic elements of the main story. Other reviewers are making many of the same points that I did in this video. So with that being said, have you been impressed by Watch Dogs Legion? I'd love to know your thoughts. Subscribe for more discussion on the games that you love. I'm Dalton Evans, and I'll talk to you next time.